Right, hello everybody, and welcome back to the afternoon sessions of the Retailer Engagement Hub. My name is Sean Leicester. I am from Primary Connect. Primary Connect is basically Woolworths Group's supply chain. My role in Primary Connect is Head of Supplier Solutions, and that is really about partnering with our suppliers on all things inbound, from delivery standards, any changes to our network. So we are going through a journey to new automated DCs. So really partnering with suppliers to make sure that they are set up and equipped and ready to basically deliver to those sites. What I wanted to take everybody through today was some of the new types of automation that we're introducing to our network. Before we got into that, I just wanted to highlight that automation isn't exactly new for us. We have been on this journey for over 20, 30 years already. So I'll just talk to some of the historical DCs that we have in our network, which are automated to different degrees and different levels. So we kicked off our automation journey in our national distribution centre network. So that's Melbourne NDC at Mulgrave and Sydney NDC in Eunora. Now, the type of automation in those sites was basically high bay warehouse, so ASRS. We later retrofitted Melbourne NDC and included like a pick-to-belt and sortation system there. After that, and our first really big jump into automation, or it was elite, was our Hume DC or Melbourne RDC and Sydney RDC or Minchinbury. Now those sites were really cutting edge for its time. We opened those just before 2000, so late 90s, 98, 99. Now those sites had high bay warehouse, high bay racking, as well as pick-to-belt, sortation. That's where we started to introduce pallet cranes and conveyors and things like that. That's at that point in time when we really started to rely heavily on the barcode and G10. We didn't have a lot of teething issues at that stage. What we actually found was almost all of the G10s didn't scan. So we had cartons being picked, placed on a sorter, and they were all rejecting before we could get them out to stores. The issues were quite simple when we look at where we're at now. It was things like the barcodes were printed in red ink. Now we know that red is virtually invisible to a barcode scanner. They were encoded incorrectly, and that was all down to the lack of education and engagement that we had with our supplier and I guess the industry partner community. Now after Hume and Minchinbury, we went live with a DC up in Queensland, or Larapinta. Now that was a bit scaled back compared to the automation we had in Sydney and Melbourne. Virtually high bay warehouse and automated pallet in-feed conveyors. After that, we kind of let the dust settle for a while. In 2019 was our next really big leap into different kinds of automation. And this is where we went live at Melbourne South RDC, or in Dandenong South. And that is what we're calling our first fully automated warehouse. So the type of automation we have in that site, from inbound, the pallet in-feed conveyors, the high bay warehouse or racking, virtually the same automation that we've had for 25, 30 years. Where it really changed for MSRDC was when we get to the carton level. So the ability to automatically de-layer pallets, layer by layer, and then using automation to move those cartons around the DC, starting to use automation to build pallets for stores in a sequence that each individual store needed. So we have every planogram for all of our stores across Australia programmed in, and we have the ability to build store-friendly pallets based on the products that are in those individual aisles. We also have the ability to send stock out to stores based on what we call Fill Now. So these are pallets that the store teams can take out to the shop floor, and they will know that everything on that pallet will fit on the shelf at that time. Then we have what we call Fill Later. So these are deliveries that the pallets will go in and stay in the stock room at the store, and they will fill them in a few hours' time the next day, sometime before the following delivery arrives. That kind of technology means we're not double handling in stores. We don't need our store teams to break down the pallets in the back of house, and really streamlining that process to get the products on the shelf much faster. We're about to open our next automated site in Moorebank in Western Sydney. We're actually opening 2 DCs. Our first one is our Moorebank National Distribution Centre, which will start to open later this calendar year. But then about 12 months later, we'll be going live with our Moorebank RDC. So talking about the type of automation in a bit more detail and how products are handled through the network. When we're looking at in-feeds and high bay, this is that technology that has been around in our sites for over 25 years. This is the first point that we check for product and pallet compliance and stop any of those issues getting into our DC that could cause problems for automation down the line. The pieces that are critical at this part, pallet labelling firstly. We need to be able to scan those SSCC labels and scan a GTIN or a product barcode to confirm it's the right label for the right stock, because that's what we take as we move it around the DC. Pallet wrapping is another one of those critical areas, making sure that the pallets are wrapped securely to keep the stock within the footprint, but also so the wrap does not kind of hang or trail loosely behind the pallet, because what we find when that happens, it can cause issues for our high bay cranes. If we have pallets moving through the high bay at speed and there's loose wrap, the high bay cranes can time out thinking that there's stock hung over, and that means a technician has to climb up, sometimes up as high as 25 metres to inspect and then clear that blockage. We're also checking for pallet quality. So this is the wooden pallet itself, making sure that all of the boards are in place and the tunnel gaps are sufficient for safe handling throughout the automation in the DC. And then lastly, at this point, we're checking pallet height and pallet configuration. Now, if any of these issues are identified at that point of in-feed, they go to what we call a reject lane. Now that is where a team member comes in and will review the pallets and either resolve it if it's an easy thing to fix. Wrapping issues, they might have to tuck the wrap back in, tape it back to the pallet. For those damaged pallets, we have to basically invert the stock. So flip it upside down, put a new pallet on top, flip it the right way back, and then put it into the automation. So all of those stoppages do cause delays in getting the stock into the DC. Now moving on, this is part of the new kind of technology of automation that we have at Melbourne South RDC. We will be having this in both Moorebank NDC and Moorebank RDC. So firstly, depow. So before a pallet gets to our depalletisation station, it has to be defoiled, is the term that we use. That's basically a fancy word for needing to remove the stretch wrap or removing the pallet wrap. Once we've done that, the pallets travel 5 metres, let's say, up to the depalletisation station, completely unwrapped. And that is where pallet stability and pallet integrity is critical. So as we're moving the pallets through the DC, we're not having anything collapse or fall over. Now at depow, this is where we use a combination of pressure and suction. and basically a big vacuum comes down and we're removing one layer at a time from each pallet automatically, placing those cartons on a series of conveyors and then loading them into a tray. And you can see those trays in this animation moving around the DC. From here, those cases go into a case buffer area. Now the case buffer is critical for us in building those store-friendly pallets. So this is what allows us to sequence the individual store orders and store deliveries so they can come out in the correct order, so we're building those store-friendly pallets every time. Now, automatic pallet building or automated case picking, this is technology that we have in Melbourne South RDC. We will be having the same technology in our Melbourne, or in our Moorebank RDC, but we've decided not to go this far in automation for our Moorebank NDC. So Moorebank NDC will still have team members that will be building pallets. They'll still be store-friendly pallets. The cartons will come out in the right sequence to our team members, but we'll have people building store pallets in the NDC. The reason we've done that is because of the current conformance or the current quality of NDC products. These are generally slower moving, in a case pick, predominantly imported products, where if we were to go fully automated in that pallet building stage, we believe we would have a lot of issues and stoppages. So we do have the capability to retrofit in the future to bring that full automated case picking to the NDC, but we're not doing that until we're confident that basically the industry is ready for it. So at this stage, this is where the cartons are presented, and then we have two robots working together to orientate a carton in the right direction, and then another robot picks that carton up and places it on the pallet. As the pallet's built, it drops through the floor, gets automatically wrapped, and then we have a fleet of AGVs that pick those pallets up and deliver them to a staging or a marshalling area in preparation for loading onto a vehicle to go to stores. Now, why are we doing it? Why are we moving away from warehouses to more automated DCs? One of the biggest challenges that we have with our current network is capacity, or what suppliers know as pick slots. We're basically run out of pick slots in a lot of our warehouses. So that means if we want to introduce a new product, we have to find something to delete. We're finding that consumers are looking for more of that tailored or targeted range across our network. So we have examples where 30 stores, for example, in an inner city suburb might have ultra premium products. We want to be able to supply chain network to service our stores, to make it easier for those suppliers delivering to one central DC instead of having to deliver out to 30 individual stores. So that's one of the factors. Improved ability for our stores, building those store-friendly pallets, getting them the right stock at the right time when they need it, and being able to react much faster to those sudden spikes in sales. If there's been any sudden promotional activity, we are able to react a lot faster. Safety is another key avenue for the automation, removing a lot of manual handling, and it's also opening up opportunities for us to introduce a different type of team member than you would normally see in a warehouse. So the old warehouses, big burly men working on forklifts, picking boxes. We don't need that in our automated DCs. We can have mums and dads returning to work because a lot of the manual handling or heavy lifting tasks have been automated out. Team members are still critical to the success and operation of the DC. We just have different types of roles available for them and automation is allowing that. Now, I am out of time. I will hand over to Samantha Blake from the AFGC. I'm going to be sticking around for a while, so if anyone's got any questions, feel free to come up and say hello a bit later. But thank you.